Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I am Jahi, and this brother over here to my right, that's Chazz. And tonight we got a very important subject to talk about. So I just want to break the ice first of all and say, how you been doing, man?
I've been doing all right. How about yourself?
Man, I just got up not that long ago. I've been laying around. I wasn't sleeping. Relaxing, man. That heat with that sun, it kind of drains you, So I just kind of got my mind right a little bit and want to talk about this subject that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is entitled, Why Should One Have a Free Mind? But before we get into that, Chaz, I want to say this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And as the people file in here, we want to make sure that we give them something to really chew on, something to think about. And I do believe that this subject in a question form, why should one have a free mind? Don't you think that that's crucial as far as our minds being open and honest and be able to think and just having a mind that's free?
Yeah, I think so. It's important. And then also you want to get to a point to where you shouldn't have or let other people sway or dictate your mind. You should be able to speak how you want to without, always having to get the approval or the appraisal of others.
Yeah. So let's start this off by, first of all, let's define in our context tonight when we say free mind, because there's many definitions for when people say what a free mind is. But for the sake of what we're going to be talking about tonight, I want you to define when we say a free mind, what we're talking about.
A free mind is the ability to think for oneself, speak the truth, be open, teachable, and correct it without fear. And see that? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I can't stop the train. It's moving now.
And see that's my thing. Like, okay, like I just told you a few minutes ago, being able to speak for yourself, not always having to let others, like, for example, a lot of people, and I hate saying this, that's on TV that have these podcasts and shows, they can't really speak how they want to. They get paid to tell you what they want you to think from their perspective. And by the way, if they get out of line or they say something they're not supposed to, they'll get yanked off the air. So half of that stuff is scripted, and I'm not taking jabs at them. I just hate that they're not really giving you the truth because, like I said, if they tell you what they really think, they'll be yanked off the air. So I really feel like those people are really pretty much controlled when you get your information from most of those people or those sources.
Well, Chaz, do you think that we as a people, do you think that many of us are working with a free mind, or are our minds brainwashed, or are our minds messed up too, or what?
I think most of us, our minds are brainwashed. They're twisted. They're messed up. Like I said, we can't even think for ourselves, brother. I've heard some people even say this. They'll wait for a TV show to come on the next day or 2 days from now. They can't give you their own take, or they'll tell you something, and then they'll go and they'll watch, hypothetically, Steve Harvey or Oprah Winfrey, and then they'll just tell you, regurgitate what they tell you, then they'll come back and say it. So that's the thing that I hate, that they can't think for themselves.
Yeah, because I got a list of adjectives that I wanted to say before we get into welcoming our guests. But I think we have to do this broadcast, and we should answer the question why it's important that one have a free mind, because a lot of our minds, Chaz, and we must be honest tonight as we normally are, because a lot of our minds are messy. A lot of us are very messy, and it has really infiltrated our minds. Our minds are not only messy, but they're crowded. We got so much information, so much stuff, so much junk inside of us, and it really has confused us. They're overloaded, if you will.
Wow.
They're congested. They're littered, if you will. They're cramped. We have some people who have what is called weird minds. I mean, we're weird how we think. Some of our minds are chaotic. They're jumbled. And, last but not least, they're disorganized. See, if the mind isn't free, if the mind isn't able to think for itself, if it can't speak the truth, if the mind isn't open, if it's not teachable, and especially if we can't be corrected without fear, then we have a messed up mind. And I think it's important that we take it from the top and really define that, kind of lay the cards on the table, so to speak, before we even get going today.
That was well said. We got our first comment. Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, Hotep Kings. Appreciate her. Sister Mashonda Fires behind her. She says, hello. We appreciate her. And the third one is Sister Marie. She fires in here behind those two. Says, Hotep family. We appreciate her.
Okay, Chaz. So let's answer these questions that we've been talking about. But this is the main one. Why is it important that we have a free mind? Here's the first one, and I know you want to take that away, and I'll chime in when you're done with it.
To think for ourselves. Basically, what I just said a few seconds ago. Think for yourself. Don't be guided by somebody who may not have your best interest. They tell you what you think that they want you to hear, but in the background, they don't want your best interest. And then on top of that, you have to be able to say, you know what? I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman.
Mhm.
This is for my best interest. I'm not going to wait for some guru or some health coach to tell me something. Well, I should already know for myself. So those are my main points that I think I have for that one.
So, yes, I'm all into questioning tonight. You know, I normally run my mouth, but I'm asking so many questions because this is really baffling me. So are you telling me that many of us, we do not think for ourselves?
No, sir. We not. Like I told you, prime example, and I'm not knocking these people, but sometimes we wait for, like I said, Steve Harvey, Oprah, Patrick Mahomes. We wait for one of these guys to say something, and then we just mimic it. We don't think for ourselves, and that's the thing that I hate. Like to think for ourselves.
Okay, so
am I back?
Yeah, your camera just went off. Okay, so yeah, I think that's important because thought is very important, you know, and thoughts are crucial to us. But unfortunately, many of us are basically people who are zombies. You know, we've been given so much to think, and now instead of us thinking for ourselves, that's why you have so much confusion. And I definitely want to show something after we invite this other guest into our broadcast.
Sister Nuji fires it here. She says, "Peace and blessings, fam. We appreciate her as well."
Yeah, because what is boiling down to, Chazz, is this, and I think we definitely have to be honest, even though this is somewhat funny, but this is what we're dealing with now, because a lot of us are like this image we're getting ready to show, and it boils down to that many of us, if you look at this image, Chazz, a lot of us are really confused, man. We're discombobulated. Yeah. I mean, we think we're not, but we are. You know, this is why we're selfish. This is why we're so, you know, headstrong. We have so much going on in our brain, man. It's so much to digest. We have family problems. We have health problems. We have emotional problems. We have spiritual problems. We have internal problems. You know, we have work-related problems. We have relational problems. We have so many different problems. And this little image here is basically telling the truth about our minds, man. They're everywhere, but we want people to think that we're not like that. And when we can't think for ourselves, all that stuff that they put in us, we become like this. And you know, you're going to see this maybe a little bit later on in the broadcast, but this is problematic, Chazz. And I think it's time for us to own up to the fact that we're going to have a free mind, because once we let someone else take our minds, we become zombies.
Absolutely. Well said, brother. Number two, as we proceed, because many of our minds are too cluttered. Yeah. And then I want to add on top of that, some of it, and this is no knock to anybody, I'm just saying your mind is not going to be able to fire the way it should if it is always on ecstasy pills, Xanax, weed, dope, all these stuff. When your mind is cluttered already, and then you add all these substances on top of that, that's just a recipe for disaster. And then on the third part, like I said, we're not getting enough sleep. We're not eating and stuff. All these things play a big factor on to why our minds are cluttered and why our minds aren't properly functioning the way that they should be.
Well said. We have a point coming up later on, but I just want to touch and go because I know you're going to want to take it away once we put the point up later on in the broadcast. But when it comes to social media, when it comes to just the media itself, you know, there's so much going on today, and a lot of us have digested all of that. So we're so busy trying to keep up with everything that we see, and that confuses the mind. And this is why I've often said this, Chazz, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. We adults, we have so much going on, and we have allowed the media to infiltrate our hearts and our minds so much that we act like little kids. We can't make our minds up. We don't know how to make decisions. We're always being fickle. We say one thing and do something else. You know, we're very capricious, as I often say. You know, we have so much, and we've got to sit back and say, hold on for a second, because next week we'll talk about how we can get the free mind. But today what we're talking about is why should we have a free mind? Because African Americans, we are hit, man. because
Man.
many of us, as I said earlier, we're just messy. We're messy, and it's we always want to be in people's business. We always want to know what's going on. We're always on the cell phone. We're always on social media. We're always on the running our mouths with people. We're always talking about people. Chad, we gotta stop this nonsense.
Number 3, to break free from mental chains. The mental chains, like you just said, are some pretty good examples as far as, like you said, social media. I would say when that's not used correctly, that's the mental chain. From society, the day to day, what they're telling us or what the news media is telling us, those are mental chains. And to break free from it, once again, sit back and say, let me think about this objectively, and let me make the best decision without all this nonsense and all these other people trying to get me to go their way. Let me do it my way and make the best decision for myself and my family.
Chaz, if you look at life as I look at life, and let's go back down memory lane. When I say let's go down memory lane, let's go back and say, ever since we were little babies, there have been different entities putting stuff in us, whether it's parents, whether it's friends, whether it's relatives, whether it's social media, or whether it's television, or whether it's the news media, whether it's music. We have so much stuff been bombarded in our minds. And what has happened is it has basically put chains on our minds, and we can't break free. You see, this is an image of a young lady who is an indication of what I'm trying to say. We get so confused, we get so discombobulated that we have to stop sometimes and I've done this before. So I'm not sitting here like I'm sitting on a high horse. I've had to put my hand on my face and say, wait a minute. This is too much. Trying to take on more than we can actually do. Wanting everybody to think we know everything. Wanting everybody to think we're all that. Wanting people to think that our stuff doesn't stink. And what happens is, Chaz, this is what you find, especially when you get our children and our children's children with all of their problems when we become adults. Then we become grandparents, and all that's put on us. And this is the result of why we need to have a free mind to break free. We should want to be free from mental chains, you see. And I think that's very important that we show this image of a woman. She is messed up, Chaz.
Wow.
She's messed up. But see, we don't want to own up to it. We don't want to take the medicine that we need. And I don't mean literal, but I mean the truth of the words that we're saying now. So we hide behind our cell phones and we act as though everything is okay. And here's another reason why we should have a free mind.
Number 4, to resist manipulation. I'll let you take this one and I'll just piggyback off of it.
Yeah. Manipulation is when someone tell you something and you don't really know what they're doing, but they're trying to get you to do something. See, it's like you see something on TV, maybe some New Balance shoes, and you see everybody wearing them. And so the next thing I know, I say, Chaz, where you going? And you say, I got to go get me some New Balance shoes. And see, they have manipulated your mind because you really didn't want the shoes. You didn't really want the shoes.
Yeah.
But because you've seen so many people with them, or your friends tell you, Chaz, the last time you wore that wife beater, man, you were hard. And so everybody kept telling you that. Everybody kept telling you that. And instead of you saying, well, it's just a shirt.
Right.
You went back and purchased as many wife beaters as you can find. Whenever you go out, everybody's going to say, there he is. There he is with that wife beater. And so you like that. So you want to feel good about yourself. So you have been manipulated, man. And to have a free mind, you got to resist that, Chaz. We all have to resist that.
And that just dawned on me. I think you said that perfectly. With the manipulation, we do it with most of us with these cell phones. I mean, every 4 or 5 weeks, it feels like these iPhones, they're the same phone, but they slap a different color on it. And most of us, we go out, we have to go to Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint. We're sitting in these long lines, and we're getting these phones. And these TV commercials, they're not really telling us anything. They're just slapping a new color on the phone. And like you just mentioned, brother, we sit down these long lines getting these iPhones, which I'm not hating on them. I'm just proving a point. They are manipulating us with these phones. Every 4 or 5 weeks, they're coming out with them. And I think it's to a point now to where we're just gung-ho about them. And it's really nothing to them. And we just still keep doing it. And they have really manipulated us with these new iPhones every 4 or 5 weeks. It feels like. Would you say?
Yes, sir. Your audio is coming in and out. So I don't know what you're doing over there with that audio, but you
Okay.
okay, now you're loud and clear. So whether you beating drums or something with the audio, get your hands back, Chazz, and let's talk. Now, here's something that I think I'm going to slow the train down. And once I put this up, Chazz, we definitely got to stop. We have to be serious on this one, and we have to look at, here's the reason why we should have a free mind.
Okay. To heal from past trauma. Exactly. Especially if you've been abused as a child, being in a lot of fist fights, or just seeing a lot of things, seeing your parents fighting. At school, you could have been, abused, all this stuff. And I think it's important for us to heal because, brother, when you have all that stuff bottled up throughout the years, decades, piled up, you're not taking this stuff seriously, and then you just explode on someone, or you have a serious heart attack. On top of that, better yet, you end up in the hospital because you waited. I've been holding this in for 30 years. I'm waiting on this person to say something. And they say something to you, and you just erupt. And before you know it, you're in the hospital. So I think it is important to heal for our health and our better being, because, brother, you don't want to be walking around with decades of anger in you. That's just not a good look. It's really not.
It's not. And when you look at all the things that we have gone through, the things we've seen, the things we've heard, the things we've experienced, and when you put all that together and you become an adult, those things follow us, Chaz. See, some of us, we like to want people to think that we're just untouchable, but we're all vulnerable to it. But the trauma, man, the trauma of being cursed out when you were a child all your life, called all kind of names, you see. What you've seen with your eyes that you should not have seen at a young age. And now that we're adults, and this is the thing that we must deal with, that past trauma, it follows us, Chaz. It doesn't stay in the past.
Right.
It follows us. And this is the reason. Now I'm going to say this.
Okay.
This is the reason that many of us are the way we are today. We never dealt with that trauma. We never dealt with the past. And so now, as you just mentioned, we are a walking time bomb, ready to explode because we never dealt with the past trauma. Chaz, a lot of us are hurting right now.
Yeah.
We're hurting because our identity is shot. We don't know who we are. We don't want to watch broadcasts like this. We don't want to heal. We want to run to a building and listen to people tell us stuff to make us feel good. But inside of us, Chaz, we're hurting as a people. And our children grow up the same way. This is why the suicide rate that we talked about a few weeks ago, this is why it's at an all-time high. Because we don't want to sit down and say, I need to heal from my past traumas, you see. And that's very, very serious.
Yeah, it really is. Number 6, to reclaim identity and culture. We have been colonized mentally, so we need to reset our thinking. Yeah, like you said, some of this stuff we've been programmed throughout the years to think a certain way, live a certain way, and act a certain way. And throughout these decades, even as we're older, we're still getting programmed to think like this. And we had to say, you know what? Let me press the reset button. Most of this stuff in my mind is nonsense. It's not teaching me anything. In fact, it's getting me to act worse. It's getting me to fly off the handle. So let me press the reset button and start thinking for myself and clear this thing out, because I'm telling you, and this is no knock, even myself included, we have a lot of this stuff throughout the years that's messed our minds up. So we need a soft reset to start from scratch and say, you know what, let me just turn this thing around, because all this stuff I got pent up and bottled up in me, it's not good. So this is all I got to say about that one.
Yeah, because we need to reclaim our identity. No one else is going to teach us about us. We need to reclaim our culture, you see, because we've been taught that African Americans or Black people, we've been taught that we are nothing. We've been taught we are the beast of burden. We've been taught that we're less than human beings. We've been taught that we are uncouth. We are uncivilized. We have been taught so many negative things about us. And then the stereotypes, they continue in the movies, where the Black woman is the prostitute in many instances, and the Black man is the pimp. You see us always going to jail and all of that, and we're always trying to get over. And so what that has done to us, it has really messed us up from a mental standpoint. So we must reclaim our culture and identity. No one wants to talk about these things, Chaz. We want to argue with each other. We want to bicker with each other. We want to fight over the little petty issues, and yet we don't even know anything about our ancestors. We don't know anything about our history. We know nothing about our culture, and yet we really think we got it going on because we can dress up, put on a suit and tie, put on a dashiki, put on some, cologne or some perfume, put on some makeup, do our hair, put on some high heels, put on some fancy colors. We think that we really got it going on, but see, Chazz, this kind of language is not well received because we want everybody to throw us a softball. We always want a softball. We don't want a fastball. See, if we get a fastball, we don't want to play. But if you pitch it soft and underhand and slow, we want to knock that thing out the park. And this is problematic, and you know it.
Absolutely. Number 7, to live with confidence. And you should have confidence, not in a cocky way, not being arrogant, but to live in confidence and say, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take control of my life. I'm going to stop listening to everything the media tells me. I'm going to stop listening to everything my family tells me and be confident to say these things are going to get better for me in the future. And once again, I want to be clear because some people take confidence and they take it to where they're just cocky and just overdoing it. But I'm saying being confident in a humble way, basically.
Here is a man who is timid. Here is a man who doesn't know what to do. Here is a man who does not have confidence. Here is a man who is frightened. Here is a man who is frail. Here's a man who's fragile. This is most of us, because instead of us dealing with life with confidence because we have a free mind, because the mind isn't free, we cannot live with confidence. We can say all we want to on this broadcast. We can say all the most fanciful and magical terms, incantations, and everybody can listen to us. But Chazz, I'm telling you now, we are like this brother here who does not have confidence. He is as scared as the Dickens because he's frightened because his confidence has been shot, you see. And so when we have a free mind, it's going to teach us that we can live with confidence. And that's one of the things that I think we don't like to talk about because we like to front and make everybody think we have confidence. But when you really look at it, we're all hurting because we lack confidence. That's why we want other people to do stuff for us. We want other people to step in front of us. And so we're in the back. We want everybody to do everything for us because that's something that we just don't like to do.
Number 8, to attempt to help others who are in mental bondage. We have relatives, co-workers, friends where we could see where some of the things that they may talk to us or some of the things they may say, we could tell they're in a mentally bad state. And we don't have to do it in front of others. We could call them on the phone. We could pull them in the office or on our lunch breaks or call them on the phone and say, you know what, brother or sister, I see you dealing with X, Y, and Z. Why do you talk this way, act this way? Did you have anything with childhood trauma growing up? Try to get them out of that because I'm telling you, even them, our co-workers, relatives, family, whoever, if they keep going on like this, they're going to eventually have a nervous breakdown too. So it's a good to step in and give them words of encouragement to try to get them out of that negative mind frame.
This image that you see on the screen now is a person who's in mental bondage. This person's mind has got so much in it that is showing us that it's basically exploding in a sense.
Wow.
This is most of us. See, this is most of us. Now, if you talk to us, we don't appear this way. But if you get down into our heart, if you get into our emotions, if you get into our mindset, this is what you have. Many people who are in mental bondage don't know whether to go left, don't know whether to go right, don't know how to be honest, don't know how to be a straight shooter, don't know how to be forthright, don't know how to be honest, always trying to get over on people. All these things are coming at us. And this is when you have a person, Chazz, who basically, I'm trying to say with all those words, they have a troubled mind.
Okay.
Even they have a troubled mind. And the mind is troubled. And this is something that we should be looking into because if our children and grandchildren keep seeing us like this, what do you think's going to happen to them when they become adults?
You already know what's going to happen. And I'm saying that because it just brought me to remember some of our little relatives they are going to be messed up, like you said, if we don't nip this in the bud early. And their minds are so fragile, they don't know, and they see us carrying on and acting like this, brother. You know they're going to be messed up, and I'm not saying that in a cheerful matter. I'm just telling you what it is, and you know it as well.
Yeah, and it's important that we bring these truths out. And again, most of us as individuals, we don't have these kinds of discussions. We rather talk about, as I often say, religion. We rather talk about politics. We rather talk about sports. We rather talk about who did what. We rather talk about what we saw on social media. We want to talk about the newest fad, but we don't want to talk about we're in mental bondage and we have to have a free mind in order to not be in mental bondage. That's why we're saying these things, so that our kids can even know that this is something that we should be getting into.
Well said. Sharon fires in here. She says, "Hey, family. Hey, Sister Sharon. Appreciate you for coming in here."
Yeah, we should have a free mind. That the crawl at the bottom says, why should one have a free mind? Here's why.
To become empowered. When your mind is free, you see your power, your worth, and the ability to change your life and community. And I would like to just say this real quick, and I keep bringing this name up, but I have to. That's one thing I liked about Malcolm X. He had a strong, powerful mind, and you could see with one man like that, not all of us are him, but the point is he had a free mind, and he moved a lot of people's persuasions. A lot of people caught on to what he did, and they got behind him, and he changed a lot of things in his community, in his life. Now, once again, I'm not saying that we all can be him, but we can all have that mind frame where we say, you know what? Even though I have to ride this thing solo, I'm going to think for myself, go against the grain, even take some pushback if I have to, and stand up for myself, my family, and change my life and change the community for the better, even though we've seen how that turned out for Brother X. But I just want to say about him, his mind was pretty strong and powerful.
And when you do have a free mind, Chazz, the things I said earlier at the top, when your mind is free, you won't be messy. See, it won't be cluttered with all this nonsense. It won't be crowded. It won't be jumbled. It won't be congested. Your mind won't be chaotic. Your children's minds won't be weird. Our kids' minds won't be littered. You see, we have a serious problem in the United States of America, and we act as though everything is good. The African American in the United States of America, we ought to have a lot of more confidence because our minds are empowered, but because we don't see our power, because our mind is not free, we don't have any worth, we don't want to change our lives, we don't want to change our community because our minds are in bondage. And we're saying these are the reasons why we want to have a free mind. Who would not want to have a free mind in times like this, when the economy is on the brink, when our families are at odds, when the government is worse than any other government that has ever existed, when everybody's trying to get us, everybody's trying to manipulate us, the educational system is poisoning our children's minds. When are we going to have this kind of subject where adults can sit down and say, wow, I'm learning now, because now this is what I got to do. I'm going to say this too, Chazz, and you may not want to hear this, but I got to say this, and I'll turn it back over to you. Okay. It's almost like we adults need to go all the way back to the beginning of life and learn how to think for ourselves again, because our minds have been done wrong, and we are the product of what has happened to us.
I agree with that. Really well said. Number 10, to embrace creativity and imagination. Media and systems often try to control your thinking. A free mind recognizes propaganda and refuses to be manipulated. Yeah, I agree with that. You can look at the news media and say there's certain ideas and doctrines that they're pushing out and say, you know what? I see right through that. I'm not falling for that. In fact, I'm going to think the opposite way. Even if my family or my coworkers and friends all say, "Oh, you wrong for thinking like that," or you need to act what the news media tell you to do. You say, "No, I'm going across the grain. This is my own way of thinking." Be creative. Start your own way. Now, I know I'm making it sound smooth and easy, but you have to, brother, because I'm telling you, if you're going to be easy manipulated by the media and all these places, you are going to find yourself in a terrible spot, and you're going to be scratching your head one morning saying, how in the world did I wake up and get here?
Rah, Chazz. That was a good little speech. That was good, but it went in one ear and out the other, because I think you're too late with that speech. Now, the speech was true. I'm not knocking the speech, and it was very beautiful words that I heard. But the reality is that speech is dead because our children are not creative and imaginative because they have a thing in front of their hands all day called a tablet or a phone. And the reason that we can't be creative and imaginative is because we have that same thing in our hands all night, all day, all evening, all morning, all noon, every chance we get. We got our face stuck inside of something that has manipulated our minds, you see. And so now we can't be creative. We don't want to go into business. We don't want to be imaginative. The media has done us in social, and see, we can't. It would have been nice if we could have taken social media and we manipulated it and said, okay, we're going to watch it for half an hour or whatever we watch. We're going to sit down with our children. We're going to teach them the pitfalls of what they're watching. But what we do is we all have been sucked into this thing, man. And now you have 50, 60, 70, 80, and on year-old men and women who's addicted to an electronic device, Chazz, and I feel like crying, but that ain't going to solve the problem. So what we're saying now is true because we don't know how to refrain. And that's why we need to have a free mind.
Well said. Well said. Number 11, to challenge injustice. Free minds recognize oppression and fights for justice. Absolutely. We can tell when we're being oppressed. We can tell when we've been done wrong. We can tell when on TV, and I keep saying this, but I have to keep hitting on this. We see on the news and YouTube, TikTok, we get gunned down like dogs, always at the bottom, always been oppressed, can't never get on top. People always seem like they have something negative to say about us. And we have to say, you know what? I see what's going on. And you have to get a couple people who have the same mind frame or mindset as you and try to fight against this oppression, injustice, especially being a black man, a black woman in the United States. You already know that you got to keep trying to fight against this oppression by the elites in the government.
I want everybody to pay close attention to the image that says angry mind. This mind is furious. This mind is so hot, it's seething red. The problem with this mind is this mind can't help itself. This mind has so much bottled up inside of it that all it does is this. And instead of fighting for what's right, it turns itself on us, Chazz. Wow. It turns itself on the innocent. It turns itself on you and I and those who are watching this broadcast. This mind is furious. This mind is throwing a conniption fit. This is a raging mind, a person who has gone, as we would say, stone crazy, because this mind has not been subdued and it's not free. It's not free to think how it's supposed to think. We didn't say you can't get angry. Right. We didn't say you can't get mad. But this mind can't get happy because this mind has so much inside of it, man. And so it lashes out at you. It lashes out at me. It lashes out at the people watching this broadcast. It lashes out all over wherever it goes. This is a problem. And yet the people who's watching this broadcast, they know for a fact that this mind is our minds in many instances. But what do we do about it? We don't come back and say, I need to work on my mind. We say that, but as soon as something happens, it's back to this mind. And I tell you, man, we would never have a free mind to fight for justice. With what we're going through now, all of us should be on the battlefield, fighting for justice, fighting for truth. Our children, our grandchildren, the elderly, the middle age, the seniors. But yet most of us sitting back, watching a television, watching a cell phone, and snickering at what we see. And this is why this subject is so pertinent, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you are watching Adults Only, and tonight's broadcast is about why one should have a free mind. And we're going through the reasons why we should have a free mind. And here's one, Chazz. Please take this away.
Number 12, to build stronger relationships. Mental freedom encourages honest communication and strives for healthy connections. Absolutely. You should want to build stronger relationships, not only with family, not only with friends, with all kind of people, to say, you know what, I'm going to get together with a like-minded brother or sister and have a good relationship. And even though they may have some hiccups, to say, I'm going to push through it and not let that tear the relationship down so quickly to where we just stop communicating at all. We start beefing, exposing each other on social media, making each other look foolish. But you say, you know what? This is something that we got to build stronger relationships for, because it helps maintain society, and it also helps us become better people when you have stronger relationships, because you need good relationships in order to progress in life.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask the question, why should one have a free mind? And to answer this, to build stronger relationships, because our relationships aren't strong right now. Everybody's out to beat the other person. Our family members and our friends, our relationships are estranged, if you will. We don't trust each other, because all this has happened now within a lifespan. With grandma and great grandma, granddaddy and great granddaddy, they had something that we have forgotten now. I was telling somebody the other day that they had relationships to where back in the day, I would say great granddaddy or granddaddy, when people would eat, everybody ate together. See, they would sit down at the table and eat. Now it's free willy-nilly. You eat when you want to. I eat when I want to. You come in. I mean, there's no kind of communication. We halfway speak when we're in the house. You walk by me, I walk by you. We don't have honest discussion. We say nothing. Our relationship is not as strong as we think it is. See, husbands and wives, the same thing. Boyfriends and girlfriends. They think the relationship is strong, but if you really look at it, the relationship is very weak, because we have been done so bad over all these years. It has affected us, and we don't know how to get out of it. And so our relationships are not strong. So what do, Chazz? We go to a building, and I'm not going to get off of this. I'm not going to get off of this. We go to a building and we trick ourselves. We become delusional, thinking that because we're with other people, we have stronger relationships. That's not building a relationship. That's going to people, being with people who have the same mindset that you have over some nonsense. But the relationship isn't strong, because if it was strong, get your behind in trouble and see who comes to help you. See who comes to help you.
Right. Well said. Number 13, to question that which doesn't line up with one's reality. I'll let you take that, and then I'll piggyback from it.
Okay, and I want to be basic with this, Chazz. I really do. And I want to slow it down now, because I'm getting excited, because this is a beautiful subject. Adults only can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and you should be rushing to the phone to watch this. It's a positive broadcast. It's an informative broadcast. It's one that's helping us all. So who wouldn't want to see this? But now back to what you said. We need a free mind so we can question things that don't line up with our reality. See, I'm not going to go along with you just because you're you. If you tell me something and I have researched it and studied it, or my life's experience has been different, I'm going to challenge you in love. I'm going to say, hold on for a second, Chazz. I got a few questions for you. So I'm going to start asking you questions, you see. And yet, when we do this, it's going to help our minds become free, because now you can teach me, well, Jahi, I can teach you this. Now listen to this. And what you say, if it lines up, I'm going to say, you know what? That's some beautiful teaching. I'm going to have to change my way. But see, nowadays, we don't want to be questioned, because we get angry, see? And that means your mind and my mind is not free. Because as we said on this, Chazz, on this part here, you said a free mind is the ability to think for oneself, speak the truth, be open, teachable, and here's the part, and correct it. We don't want to be corrected, see?
Right,
so our minds are entangled, because we don't want to be corrected, because we think we know everything. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves at this day and age, as adults, African Americans, Black, whatever you want to call yourself, that our minds are so entangled that we cannot, as a people, we cannot be questioned, you see? Like when you go to certain places, you don't question people. Well, Chazz, that's how we are made, to ask questions. We want to find out.
Yeah.
This is a problem. So speak to the aspect of why it's important to question things that just don't line up.
Yeah, because for number one, you want to know what's going on. You want to know if you're being swindled and duped. And I just want to piggyback off what you said towards the end on the other one. When we question people, instead of us saying, you know what, this person just wants to know what's going on. We're so ignorant. We're so silly. We take that as someone trying to show us up, someone trying to be funny, someone trying to belittle us. We're just wanting to find out. And instead of just saying, you know what, let me get out of my feelings, let me get out of this negative mind frame and say, this person just wants to know. No, we want to show them out. Who you think you're talking to? I've been on this earth for this many years, this, and that. And this is nonsense. And if a man or woman can't question you, then that just goes to show you with how far we've gone in society where we can even be civil and speak with one another without people flying off the handle.
I want to ride this horse some more, Chaz. We normally go from point to point, but I want to ride this horse some more. I ain't done with it, because what you just said is absolutely correct. We don't like to be questioned because we want everybody to think we know everything. And it's hard to communicate nowadays. And I often say this, and I laugh at myself sometimes because I find myself doing this. You see, I'm not exempt. I find myself doing this, but I have to get back from myself when I find myself doing this. Whenever somebody says something, I always have the answer. Whatever they say, I'm waiting on them. When they get done, I'm ready. I'm jumping on them. You see, this is the kind of mindset that most of us have. You know, they may not be eager to jump on someone, but a lot of us, we don't like to be questioned, and then we get upset. A lot of fights and deaths have come to pass because someone has asked a simple question. If you told me you saw a flying horse, and I don't care how many, I don't care how many other people believe you, and I don't care if everybody, you had an entourage that came to me and said, "Yep, we saw it." I'm gonna ask y'all some questions. What color was it? When was it? How did it fly? How did it defy gravity? I'm gonna ask all kind of questions, you see. And then instead of you saying, "Wow, these are good questions," you're gonna be angry because you don't want to be challenged, you see. And this is why I'm saying question. That's the interrogatives. Who, what, where, why, when, how, what. Those questions are beautiful if you put them in context, especially when you want to have a free mind. If you don't do that, your mind will not be free.
Number 14, we need a free mind to be released from fear of failure, rejection, and other unpleasant failures. Yeah, we have that. I used to have that a lot, always been passive and scared of being rejected and dejected from society, or fear of not panning out in the future. Some of that is not a good feeling, because it's like you're always having these thoughts and voices that's loud in your head telling you you're not going to be this, you're not going to be that. Then you add on with the family telling you you're not going to be anything. You're going to be just like your father. You just going to be locked up. You're going to be another statistic. All these negative mind frames, which aren't good at all. So you want to say, you know what? No matter what they say, I'm going to fight through this. Even if I do fail, you're supposed to basically learn from your failure, not just fold up and quit and throw in the towel. So that's all I had to say on that one.
That was some beautiful extrapolation, Chaz. And I want to add to it. We need to have a free mind because we need to be released from fear. See, if now I'm not saying go jump into a lion's den and all that. That's inane. Well, that's silly. That's fatuous. But what I'm saying is a lot of us are afraid to fail. We're afraid to step out. We're afraid of, like you mentioned, rejection and other unpleasant fears. We don't want to be told. We live in a time, Chaz, and I'm telling you, I said this about a few weeks ago, but we're living in a time now where when the truth is heralded, people don't want to hear the truth. People want to do what they've been doing because we have been so malleable, meaning we've been made this way, and because we don't know how to get out of it, we are just like this man on this screen here. We're biting our fingers. We're afraid. We're terrified. We don't know how to make decisions. And I know I'm being redundant, but I have to say this. Everything we do, one day we want to do this, the next day we want to do that. We're just all over the place, as you often say. We're all over the place. And it's all because the mind isn't free. See, the mind can't say, this is what I want to do. There may be some alterations, minor alterations, but we can't say what we're going to do. We're fickle. We always changing the game plan. We always moving the goalposts. We're always being capricious. You know, we're always doing something because, Chaz, the mind isn't free. And after a certain age, you would think that the older we get, that's just me. And that's where I went wrong. I will confess. I went wrong because I thought the older we got, the wiser we got. But I've often said, as my auntie who passed away many years ago, she was a prophet when she said this. She said, the older we get, the stupider we get. And I thought she was being hard, man.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. So why should we have a free mind?
Number 15, we need a free mind so that others won't define us. Yeah, we won't let the news media define us. We won't let the police define us. We won't let the statistics define us, because you look at all the three of these things, and basically we lead the number one statistic in most of them: deaths, suicide, homicide, all these things. And then so now it's like when we walk in public, people just saying, "Look at him," or "Look at her. She's up to no good. He may be stealing this and that." And we need a free mind to break out of that and say, you know what? Just because they're saying that, that doesn't mean it's true. And then on top of it, going across the grain and becoming a good statistic, not a bad statistic.
I'm going to say this, Chazz, and I'm going to lose a lot of friends on this one. In fact, everyone that's watching may pull the plug on us when I say this, but I'm going to say it. We need a free mind so that others won't define us. Now, I'm not going to say it on the broadcast, but I'm going to give you the letter and you know what it stands for. In fact, all of them know what it stands for. The N word. Okay. We have been called the N word since 1444 in a negative light. Okay. We've been called that left and right. They beat us. They whipped us. They belittled us. They berated us by calling us the N word. And what have we done today? We have allowed others to define us. So now what do? I call you that. See, you call me that. So now it's a part of our vocabulary. So we have allowed other people to define us. And yet we don't see how serious this is. We don't see that word should never come out of our mouths against one another. I don't care how angry you make me.
Right.
If my mind is not free, if my mind isn't free, then I'm going to keep repeating what they taught me, you see. And this is why we should teach our children. Don't say that. Don't call somebody else that looks like you that. This is what they called us back in the day. This is what they called us when they were oppressing us. This is what they still call us today when we get them angry, you see. But instead of us stopping it, Chazz, we become a part of the problem and nobody wants to bring it out and say, that's a terrible word. So we have allowed others to define us, because if I see you as an N and you see me as an N, then we have allowed Europeans to take a nasty, a filthy, a rotten, a scandalous word, and we have allowed them to define us. And now what do? We've defined each other with that word.
Yeah, and I'll just take it a step further. I said this on previous broadcasts. Now, with that word in particular, we took the GGA, like if somebody's just talking and they say the GGA, we look at that as good or cool or calm. But if somebody, normally when people put the GGER on it, that's from like a racial word or negative. But we'll fight if we hear the GGER word, but if we hear the GGA part, we, dap and shake hands and all that kind of stuff. That's where the word is gotten to.
Because the mind isn't free, you see, and we don't see that as a manipulation of the mind. We see it as, well, we took that word and made something positive out of it. No, we didn't. It's still the same. They gave it to us. They defined us with it. We know it could mean black, Negro. Negro means black in Spanish and Portugal, but what they didn't mean it that way when they called us that. And so now the connotation on that is terrible. And this is why I'm saying we need intellectual people. And I don't mean looking in a book, looking at, different concepts. I mean, intellectual from the standpoint of we know how to navigate through this world. This is a mean world, Chazz. This is a sick world, Chazz. This is a rotten world. This is an evil world. And like we said last week, when we talk like this, it's basically good versus evil, you see?
Yeah.
It's good versus evil.
And I wanted to just add real quick, and I'm gonna get off the GGA word. Now, it's even gotten so bad with that word, brother. And I don't know if you've witnessed this, but I've witnessed this a lot. People I used to work with, or if I'm in Walmart, CVS shopping, I'm hearing Hispanics on the phone, or people that they're with in the store. They're saying that GGA, and then when I walk past them, we make eye contact, and then they'll say, "Oh, I meant this," and I don't say anything. I'm not gonna fight them over that word. But Hispanics and Mexicans now, and I love my brothers who are Hispanic. I don't have no knock against them. But brother, now they're even saying it. So you know it's out of control when they're doing it.
That's because the mind isn't free, as this image is showing us. This is what's really going on. This mind here it's everywhere. And this is us. This is us. But see, it's like we rather for somebody else that have on an ankh, or have a crescent cross, or someone that has a
keep going cross. To that.
Well, because if we had on crosses and ankhs and all of that, and we said this to people, they would eat that up. Oh, right. These guys are really preaching. But because I got on a little shirt with a fist on it, you just sitting there, just in the doggone camera, So they don't look at it this way. So they don't see us as these words being beautiful words to help to teach their children or teach them. This thing up on this screen here, Chazz, is where most of us are. We don't want to admit it, but our minds are everywhere. And this is why we have this discussion about having a free mind and using the word, the N word like that. We see nothing wrong with it, man. It comes out like it's nothing. And it shows that we have allowed other people to define us. And this is why these types of discussions are important. So the next week when we come back, see, for those who are watching this, they should run all over the city and tell people, you need to watch this broadcast, not because of Chazz, not because of me, but the information, man. Forget you and forget me. It's the information that is so pertinent to teach your grandchildren, because what we're saying is true. And we're straight shooters. We're not sugarcoating this thing. People say they want it without chasers. This is the way we're giving it to them. A free mind is the ability to think for oneself, because we don't think for ourselves, Chazz.
Yeah.
Social media got our mind. Entertainment has our mind. We don't speak the truth. We're afraid to speak the truth. We talk like this behind closed doors, but when we get out in public, we don't want to speak like this.
Yeah.
We don't want to be open, Chazz. We have to be open with each other. We're always trying to get over on somebody. Teachable. You can't teach me anything. I can't teach you anything. And we correct it. We don't want to be corrected because we don't want to learn. That's what I don't get. We don't want to learn, but yet we don't want to be corrected. That's crazy. Without fear. So
that was said. Well said. Like you said, we don't want to learn or be corrected. You can't win for losing either way when you do that. It's just a terrible spot to be in, brother.
It really is, man. So we only have about maybe 9 minutes, so we'll start playing our little music, but we can talk for a minute. Okay. Because I think we need to just let people know that how can you be in the world and not? This is why I knew that Malcolm X, as you said, and Martin King and Elijah Muhammad and all these brothers, I knew that during their time they weren't as popular as they are now. Right. Because a lot of us didn't want to hear them. See? Yeah. We don't want to face the truth. And the truth is, our minds are not free because there's so much mess in it. There's so much mess in your mind, mess in my mind. There's so much mess in all of our minds. Our minds are so cluttered with what we're going to do tomorrow, how we're going to figure this out, how we're going to pay a bill, how we're going to do something for the kids, it's so much. It's disorganized. We just have a lot of stuff going on. And I definitely want to go on this little rant, and I'll give it to you after this, but we're so chaotic, man. It's chaos, man. All these images I'm showing are us, really. They're you, they're me, they're the people watching this. And they know it is. They're jumbled. It's just a lot of stuff packed in there. There's no more room for anything else to go in there, but we steady packing it in there. It's crowded. Our mind is not clear. It's so crowded, overloaded, littered. It is so congested, cramped, and last but not least, many of our minds are weird. Weird to think what you think. We want you to come back on next week, and we're going to talk about not why should we have a free mind, but now let's talk about how we can get a free mind. Okay. This is what I like about this broadcast. Today we we're setting the table, but next week we're going to let you eat. We're setting the table today, but we're going to let you eat next week, because now we're going to talk about how should I have a free mind? You and Chazz, Jahi been running y'all mouths the whole day. Y'all been talking about why we should have one, and y'all made great points. But now tell us, how do we get a free mind? And we're going to be very practical. So I just want to say to all of you all that's out there today, we definitely appreciate you watching this broadcast. It can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I thank you guys for tuning in, because you didn't have to watch it. So we are grateful to you for your presence, because we know that a lot of things we say, they don't come across as the good type of speaking that you may like. But we're not here for you to like us. We're here to help you and to help ourselves, because as you can see, our minds are not free. And so we just want to say to you all, we appreciate you watching this broadcast. Those who have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, y'all, come on now. We got to do a better job, because watch what we say around these kids. Their minds are going to be entangled just like ours if we don't do anything to help them. So, Chazz, you got 5 minutes. Take your time. I'll sit back. Got somebody saying, telling us bye. Grandma saying Shimotep Bro. You say Shimotep to her too. I hope people learn from this lesson. Chazz, let me shut my mouth and go ahead and just talk to us. You got 5 more minutes to say what you want to say.
Okay, tonight was a good broadcast. We appreciate all the viewers as always. It was just about how to free your mind. What are some of the things that are going on in our minds on a daily basis that are crowding our minds, having it cluttered, having us frustrated, having us angry? How we can declutter it, how we can always think for ourselves, challenge some of the things that we hear. Not always being so gullible, not always being so easily persuaded where somebody tells us something and we jump on it hook, line, and sinker. We say, you know what, that doesn't sound right, or this doesn't make sense. I want to challenge you, brother, not to a fight, but to ask you, this does not make sense to me. Explain this to me. Not being, like I said, easily persuaded by the news or what you see on social media or some of these apps that we get on that are telling us to act a certain way, but we have to challenge ourselves and say, this isn't right. And even if you do have your own way of thinking, it may not be popular, but if it makes sense to you and it's not harming anybody and it's actually uplifting you in the community, go for it. Sometimes you have to be the black sheep or go across the grain. I'm going to stop running my fat mouth real quick. I got a comment on the screen. Going to address that. The Sister Marie, as far as here, she says, it's sad how we allow social media, TV, and society to tell us how we should think about who we are as a person. Well said. And that comment, I could take that and stretch it because social media and TV has taught us if you don't have a BBL, for the sisters, if you don't have a BBL, if you don't have a face of makeup, if you don't have hair extensions, if you're not looking like Beyonce or some of these people, you're ugly, you're worthless, you're nothing. And that comment that this sister made was spot on. We allow these media figures to tell us who we are. Who told you that if I never comb my hair is nappy? Who told you if I haven't got my hair cut in 2 months or 2 years that is nappy? And I hate saying this, but I had to bring this scripture up real quick for the Christians, the believers. They said Jesus's hair was wool. That stands for nappy. So if that's what his hair was, and you believe in this Bible, why are you ashamed of having nappy hair if he had it? I mean, come on. And on top of that, like I said, I don't want to go on the rant, but that's just the comment was spot on with how we're just letting social media dictate how we look, how we should feel. And we have to get away from that and say, you know what? That's their opinion. I'm not going to always jump on what they say. I have my own style, my own fashion, how I think I should look. And we appreciate that sister's comment about the social media, how it's easy persuading us. And I'm going to just say this real quick because I don't want to ramble. But we have to, like I said, when something doesn't sound good or act or sound right, we need to question it, not being disrespectfully, but question it in a healthy manner. And I think that's all I got, brother. I'll pass it back to you, but I appreciate you for having me on here as always.
You have been watching Adults Only every Wednesday night or Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Your host, Chazz, and myself, Jahi. We are so grateful that you were able to watch this broadcast. If you just tuned in and you just jumped in while the train was already moving, I'm speaking in figurative language now. But if you just jumped on the train and it's already moving, we want you to go back and watch it from the beginning. Sit down with your family and watch this broadcast and stop it. You need to, and start talking to your children or your significant other about the truth about why it's important for us to have a free mind. We want you to come back next week. If you can, please come back next week at 6 o'clock, and we're going to put part 2 onto this, which is not going to be why should one have a free mind. It's going to be how to have a free mind. So bring your paper, bring your pencil, bring your notebook. We're going to talk about practical ways that you can have a free mind, because our minds, as I said today, are so messy. They're so crowded. They're overloaded. They're cluttered. They're congested. They're weird. They're jumbled. They're chaotic. And they're disorganized. And we don't want that for any of us. So please tune in next week. Tell a friend about this broadcast. We all need it. I know I do. So this is very, very healthy and it's organic because it's practical. So having said that, on behalf of Chazz, we're going to leave tonight, and we again can't thank you enough for coming out to watch this broadcast with us. So having said that, we'll see you all next week. So have a good one, Chazz, and we'll be talking.
Take care, everybody.